Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show right here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel. I am your host, as always, Tiger Paul Craven. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We got a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. We're going to break down the bowl game. Me and Jordan Bowman are going to talk about the matchup between our Clemson Tigers and the Kentucky Wildcats taking place less than a day away. Noon tomorrow will be kickoff. We got tons to talk about, key matchups in the game, where the game will be won and lost, players to watch out for, all that good stuff. But before we get into today's episode of the All In Show, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. It would really help us out, and it'd be much appreciated to have your support for the channel. Also, hit that like button for us. This is a live video, so the likes really help us out on these live videos. And as always, we are here every single week, Thursday, 7 p.m., same bat time, same bat channel, bringing you guys this all-in show. So thank all of you guys for joining us. We also have the super chat feature available if you would like to support the channel in that way. But without further ado, let me bring on my co-host, my buddy, Jordan Bowman. Jordan, how you doing tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. Just kind of getting out of holiday mode, or at least Christmas mode. We still got New Year's coming up. This past week was pretty good to me. So I'm hoping tomorrow is the same. It's going to be really fun, and I'm glad to finally really dive into this game because the more I dive into the matchup, there is a lot of interesting storylines here and a lot of interesting points in this game to look at. Kentucky is a very interesting matchup for this team, so I'm really excited to kind of break it all down.
Yeah, man. It's absolutely going to be, I think, an intense matchup tomorrow. In some ways, I don't think it's going to be a very comfortable game for either fan base, but we'll get into to that a little bit later in the show. Before we dive into the actual bowl and the breakdown, hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Hope everybody got some good stuff, and more importantly, got to spend time with friends and loved ones. Jordan, did you get anything crazy for Christmas that you would like to share with the people?
Nothing crazy, but I did get the new Spider. It's not really new now; it's been out for a few months, but finally got the Spider-Man game for PS5. 10 out of 10, by the way, great game. I've been a huge Spider-Man fan all my life, and I got the first one back when it came out. Back in what was that? 2018, before when it came out for PS4. And I had the Miles Morales game. I get every single Spider-Man game that comes out. That's my childhood superhero. And so, this has been the pinnacle of my gaming career. But other than that, I got some cool Clemson stuff. Family members always get me Clemson. It seems like every year for my birthday and Christmas. I got some new Clemson socks, so that was cool.
There you go.
As I get older, when you're little, you don't really understand, like when your family members get you clothing and especially socks. But now, I'm over the moon to get new socks. So and especially when they're Clemson things. So that was dope.
Yeah, man.
Other than that,
it's always the little stuff that matters, man, as you get a little bit older. Same thing for me. I didn't really get anything out of the ordinary. I got this hat that my family bought me. Obviously, it's the Army hat. So everybody knows every year Army versus Navy, huge game, America's game, right? They do the special uniforms. Well, they did Rock of the Marne or Third ID is who they represented in their uniforms this year. And that was a unit that I did serve in when I was in one of the units that I served in. So pretty cool that I got this hat. And then this is one of the Clemson hoodies that I got. So it's the military kind of olive drab colored one. But that's a couple things. I got some other hoodies as well and some other things. But it was a good Christmas. Got to spend time with family. So that's always the most important thing. Hope everybody out there in the comment section got some good stuff as well. Got to spend time with their friends and family. We got 14 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Quick shout out to the comment section before we dive into the bowl game, Jordan. We got Alexander in here with the first comment. Tiggs gets in here, not me. Let's see. Benny gets in here. The real MVP gets in here.
Good to see you, Darrell.
I think I hit everybody. Darrell, is that the Kentucky man?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, welcome in, Darrell. Glad you showed up. Excited about the matchup. I know you are as well. One of us is going to be happy at the end of our mid-afternoon tomorrow, and then one of us is going to be very upset. So hope you'll show up for the post game anyway, regardless of which way it goes. But it's going to be a really good matchup. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm sure everybody's still getting over the holiday seasons. We still got New Year's coming in. Tiger Tom, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for your support, man. But yeah, man, it's I guess let's just dive into the game. I guess before we get into that, you got any big plans for New Year's?
Well, I'm going to a party.
There
Other
you
than
go.
that, not. I'm gonna watch the games. I'm probably gonna leave early to watch the games because they probably will not. The one I'm going to will probably not be at much football involved. So I'm probably
Yeah,
gonna have to dip out of there early so I can catch it. But
catch the
um,
games. Yeah,
yeah, but that'll be fun. Other than that, nothing too crazy. So that'll be cool.
that's good. That's good.
How
Yep,
about you?
I'll be watching football, man. I'll be watching football for sure. Um, if I'm not watching football, I'll be asleep before the new year. Other than that, I mean, we'll see. Tiggs gets in says, "Has ship decided yet?" No, he will not give an answer. He was asked at the press conference, I think today, about it, and he just basically gave an answer saying he's focused on this game and finishing with his team. Um, one last bowl game, or he didn't say one last bowl game. Sorry. Just finishing this game, finishing this season with his teammates, and then after this game, he'll sit down with his family and talk and go through the decision making process. I'm sure he has an idea of what he's going to do, but he's just not tilting his hand in any way. So he's the last one I think we're holding out for as far as a decision on the NFL. RJ Mickens is coming back, so that's a big get for the Tigers. But with all of that said, Jordan, let's go ahead and get into the Gator Bowl preview. We got a huge game coming up. I know you've done some research into this game, so have I. There's a lot of talking points to really think about. There's a lot of things that are really interesting about this game. To be completely honest, it's not the this isn't the bowl game that that any of us envisioned Clemson being a part of this time. Well, I guess August, early September. We did not see this being Clemson's future when we were, real deep into fall camp. But here we are. We ended up in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. That's going to be played at noon tomorrow. So in Jacksonville, Florida, we'll have some Clemson alum there. Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Shatley will be there. Three Clemson alums, three guys doing great things in the NFL will be there supporting the Tigers as well.
Yep.
We'll also be doing a post-game live right after the game for all of you. I'm sure everybody in here knows that already, but just plugging that. But just kind of some overall thoughts about the Gator Bowl, this matchup, without delving into the details that we'll get into, Jordan.
Yeah, well, I guess to kind of sum up, Kentucky, this is a team that has had a pretty up and down season. They've had moments of really really high highs and some low lows. But they're in a bowl game for the millionth time under Mark Stoops. That they have been a program that has been the epitome of consistency for a little while now. And that's something you didn't used to say about Kentucky football. Kentucky football used to be, especially within, the realm of the SEC, was that they were considered, oh, that was your free win on the schedule. That's not what they are now. And even this year, they are a tough out, and they were a tough team all year to deal with. They went 7-5, 3-5 in the SEC. Wins over Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, Akron, Vanderbilt, Florida, Mississippi State, and Louisville. Obviously, top 10 Louisville at the time. And then their 5 losses were to number 1 Georgia, Missouri, who obviously ended up being a top 10 team, Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina. So this is a team that has really kind of lived off of their defense. That's kind of been their strong suit. Very similar to the Tigers, which is why this is probably going to be a little bit of a rock fight. But they are well coached on both sides of the ball. They're just not, as explosive or talented on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, Mark Stoops is their head coach, as I mentioned. He's been there a long time. It feels like forever now. Offensive coordinator Liam Cohen He's a guy that is a really, really well regarded within coaching circles, and a guy that they brought in to kind of help transition that offense and be more explosive. And you're still seeing some of the struggles and fruits of that, kind of similar to Clemson, bringing in Garrett Riley. And then defensive coordinator Brad White leads that defense that has been, one of the best in the SEC and really the strength of this team. So this is a really, really tough. This is a really tough matchup for Clemson, and I think there are a lot of interesting, matchups within the game that are going to decide whether this game ends up being a Clemson win or a Clemson loss, because I think this is a very losable game for Clemson tomorrow.
Yeah, look, absolutely. This is 100% a losable game for Clemson. It is going to be a tough, physical, really trenches type of game. Not that every football game ever played, really is won and lost in the trenches for the most part, but this game has an extra emphasis on it. If you just look at how both these offenses like to play, how both of the defenses are designed. It's really just going to be a field position type game. It's going to be a very physical. The lines of scrimmage are going to be key. Whatever team takes care of the ball the best, whatever team's able to run the ball at the highest clip or the most successful is going to be the team that comes out of this game with the W. And it really could be either team. I don't think there is like this clear cut on either side where you can say absolutely this team's going to win or that team's going to win. But we'll get into the predictions and stuff like that later. John gets in. Thanks, man. Appreciate you getting in. Y'all check out John over on the Michigan channel. He does a lot of good content over there. Check out his YouTube videos. Rutgers did beat Miami today. So
Yeah,
he's
they
giving
did.
them a shout out. ACC not looking too good in bowl games this year so far. We are struggling mightily. I think North Carolina State's getting the crap beat out of them by Kansas State right now as we speak. So,
NC State
is what it is.
Yeah.
NC State. Yeah, NC State.
North Carolina already got the crap beat up.
No, they took care of that. Yeah, they made sure of it. D-Rock Irish in here. Thanks, guys, for getting in. John gets in as well. So appreciate that, guys. But one of the things I want to get into before we start breaking down kind of the lines of scrimmage and, Clemson's defense versus their offense and vice versa. And then, the players that are missing and who's going to be replacing those players on both sides of the ball. I really want to talk about something that I think is going to be important in this game. And I think it's the motivation for each team and kind of the attitude of each team coming into the game. It's one of the things that we kind of mentioned backstage before we came on live, Jordan, and you talked about it a little bit. And that's really Kentucky's attitude towards the Gator Bowl and playing Clemson, more importantly, in the Gator Bowl. As you know, they've had several players that were going to leave. Most notably, their running back, Ray Davis, was declared for the NFL draft. Looked like he wasn't going to play in the bowl game. Suddenly, the bowl game is announced to be the Gator Bowl, and Clemson would be their opponent. And he's like, oh, never mind. I'm all in on that. I'm definitely playing in this game. And they've had that quite a bit. They haven't had quite the turnover in the portal that Clemson has had. They haven't had quite the level of opt-outs that Clemson has had when it comes to NFL. Guys just preparing for the NFL instead of playing in the bowl game. So they appear to have a little bit of an edge when it comes to motivation coming into the Gator Bowl, just based off of those things that I mentioned. What's kind of your feel for both Kentucky and Clemson as far as just the energy, the motivation, the will to win coming into this game?
Yeah, I think this is a matchup of two really strong cultures. And I think both coaches kind of outlined it throughout the week of how both programs have been, really, really consistent. And, they have a very clear identity. Both coaches, preach, they put an emphasis on culture over, pretty much anything else, because that, those are the hallmarks of a truly consistent program that wins football games. And, I think, Kentucky having so many guys decide to play in this game is a testament to what, Mark Stoops has instilled over there. And I think, they very clearly want to play Clemson. And I think that's a compliment to Clemson and the brand that Tiger Paw has, especially, how much it's grown over the last decade. Clemson didn't used to be a team that people just got up for. They hear the name and say, "Oh, we're playing Clemson," and then they, it's like then they're extra motivated. But Clemson has gotten to that point where they get everybody's best shot, and I think that's really cool. That's something, when I was a lot younger, I never really thought that would be a thing, but it is now, and that's a testament to what Clemson has done. And, that's a testament to what Mark Stoops has instilled over there. Called every game matters. And, especially when when you play in the SEC, and I know I'm not one to bang the SEC drum, but, it's very easy to kind of be like, oh, you could play a certain opponent. It's like, oh, we're going to lose, or we don't, if you're playing Alabama or Georgia or something like that, and, kind of packing it in. But, you don't really see that out of Kentucky. And I've never watched a game of theirs this year where I didn't think, man, that team, just didn't get up for this game. Like, I've never said that about Mark Stoops, never said that about Kentucky. And so that's what makes this game so exciting, is I think you're going to get Kentucky's best shot. And I think Clemson, on Clemson's side of things, I think Dabo has done a good job of instilling in this program that, the same kind of mantra that every game matters and every game is an opportunity to get better and to win. And I think that's, Clemson has some guys that aren't playing, but I think they have guys that are playing that could have not played. Tyler Davis,
Absolutely.
Xavier Thomas, R.J. Mickens, and although I know he decided he was coming back, but Will Shipley is still deciding, but he's going to play. So, I think, that's a test. Justin Maskell definitely could have sat out as well. So I think, both programs kind of have that kind of culture and that mindset to kind of bring it, even though neither team really had the season that they particularly wanted. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and it is a compliment to the Clemson program and the brand that the Tiger Paw kind of carries. And one of the big things for me this week, just hearing both sides of both teams talk to the media, both coaches, they're very complimentary of each other. I think Dabo and Stoops kind of design their programs in similar fashions. With a culture of every game does matter. Winning is important. The whole meaningless bowl game gets thrown around so much in the national media nowadays, and even with the day-to-day fans, it gets thrown around a ton. And it's really unfortunate, but it is a breath of fresh air to see, these two teams really appear, at least surface level, as far as we can tell, what they've said to the media, to really care about this game. And it feels like it's going to be an extremely hard-fought game. It feels like it's going to be, a physical game, a rock fight, as you say. It's going to be kind of a bloody your nose, get dirty type of game. At least that's what it feels like going in. So, shout out to Kentucky, shout out to Clemson, shout out to those players that have chose to finish with their team and with their brothers on their team to finish one last game. Shout out to our guys, XT, Justin Maskell, Tyler Davis, Will Shipley, all those guys that could have definitely shut it down, because those guys do have bright futures in the NFL, but they chose to come back at least for one game. We hope Will Shipley's coming back for another season, but that is yet to be determined. So let's go ahead and shift gears and kind of talk about this Kentucky offense and the Clemson defense a little bit. I think this is going to be one of the big storylines for this game. And this Kentucky offense, man, is kind of headlined, I would say, first and foremost by their running back, Ray Davis. This dude's a 1,300-yard back. He leads the SEC with 20 touchdowns this season. They're going to run the ball. That is what Kentucky is going to want to come into this game. They're going to want to come into this game, play hard-nosed physical football, and really run the ball down Clemson's throat. That's going to be their MO. They're not a big-time explosive team. They don't have, this explosive downfield passing game. They will hit you with, some play action and stuff like that. But they're not a super explosive team, kind of similar to Clemson's offense. They really want to start with the running game first, and then that develops into their passing game as the game goes on, using that play action and stuff like that. They do got guys on the outside that can catch the ball. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, their offense is, devoid of any playmakers on the outside. They have guys that can go out there and make plays, especially when you look to the Clemson defense that's going to be a little bit shorthanded in the secondary compared to where we were for majority of the season. Talk a little bit about this Kentucky offense, and then we'll talk a little bit Clemson defense when you're done.
Yeah, I think Kentucky, while they didn't have the explosive offense that they kind of hoped they would, this year, I think they've done a good job of still making it difficult for teams to defend that run game. I think they do a lot of good things, with motions and shifts, kind of to give a lot of window dressing, when they run the ball, because it forces linebackers and second level defenders to kind of pause. Something I noticed a lot. They like to motion Ray Davis, out of the backfield a ton. Tavion Robinson at receiver. He's a guy that if you ACC fans are probably familiar with, because transferred from Virginia Tech, really versatile kind of playmaker. And they like to do a lot of motions and shifts to kind of force the defense to pause a little bit before they key in on the run game, and I think that kind of opens some things up for them. And Ray Davis is just a dude, just a really good football player. He's been at 3 different schools now. He's gotten better pretty much every single year. And he's culminated in, as you said, a 20 touchdown season, 1,300 yards from scrimmage. He leads the SEC. He leads the team in rushing touchdowns, receiving touchdowns, and scrimmage yards. That's pretty crazy.
It's a one-man show, man.
Yeah. So he's going to be a load. And so, we were going into this, when we first thought the bowl game was first announced, we were like, okay, well, thank God we don't have to play him. Then he said, oh, nope, joke's on you, stupid.
He said, guess what? I'm coming.
Yeah. But yeah, he's really, really good. And obviously at quarterback is a face that all Clemson fans are familiar with.
Yes,
Devin Leary, NC State transfer. He's had he hasn't had a terrible season. 23 touchdowns, 12 picks. It wasn't really kind of what Kentucky was hoping for. But I do think he's a very smart football player, and he understands the offense, and he's not going to make a ton of just what are you doing plays. That's just something he's never been. Even going back to NC State, and he's a guy that can pick you apart because he's experienced, and because he has experience playing Clemson. That definitely helps him as well. So he's a guy that has some arm talent, and you can't let him beat you. And they don't really use their tight ends a ton. So I that's not something that I expect. But when these bowl games, something that I've noticed with watching bowl games is they're a really good opportunity for tendency breakers. And something that Kentucky hasn't done a lot of the year is throw to the tight ends. So I think you could see some wrinkles there, where they kind of get their tight ends involved tomorrow because they haven't put it a ton on tape, and that's how these bowl games seem to go. And then at wide receiver, I think they have some. You already talked about them. They have some pretty solid playmakers at receiver. I already talked about Tavion Robinson, but I think the guy that I think most teams game plan for is Dane Key, a guy that has kind of burst onto the scene, so to speak. Really, really talented football player. Really, really tough in man-to-man coverage, which Clemson will play a lot of. I expect them to play a lot of still, even with the shorthandedness at corner, because that's kind of what Clemson has been this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't let him beat you either. But obviously, I think Kentucky's offense starts with the run. You got to make sure you got to contain Ray Davis, because everything else, if you can't do that, then it's going to be a long day. So you got to be able to contain him, limit his production. He's going to get his at times, but you can't let him just single-handedly beat you, because he single-handedly beat some teams this year. That Florida game, rewatching that Florida game was something. He was a nightmare. Cannot let that happen to you.
No, and that's go ahead. Sorry.
No, you got it. I've been rambling for too long.
Look, speaking of Ray Davis, and half kidding earlier, one man show for the Kentucky Wildcats, but I mean the dude is, as you mentioned, he's truly dangerous. Over 1,300 yards, leads the SEC in touchdowns, like I mentioned before, with 20. And Clemson's defense is, designed to stop the run. They've done a pretty good job all season of stopping the run. But the one thing that Clemson's defense has allowed at points and times this season is explosive run plays. And this dude, Ray Davis, is a guy that can exploit that in a big way. And I think points in this game with Clemson and Kentucky, I think it's going to be a somewhat of a lower scoring game. And a big run out of Ray Davis, something like that can change the momentum in a game very quickly. You saw, you talked about tendency breakers when it comes to bowl games, and how teams really like to do a lot of tendency breakers because there's a whole year of tape on them, basically. So they try to outsmart the defensive coordinator and what they're expecting them to do. You saw it in the North Carolina and West Virginia game the other night, right? What did West Virginia do first play of the game? They're known as a running team. What did they do first play of the game? North Carolina was in man coverage. They were crowded in the line. The one deep safety jumped the run, the play action run, and then they threw the ball over everybody's head, and it was a one play touchdown, and they were up in the game. So, I mean, you see stuff like that. You're right. You do see stuff like that happen in bowl season all the time, year after year. So it's something that Clemson's going to have to guard against as well, because that's something, Kentucky is capable. Devin Leary, we know he's got some arm talent. We know he has the ability to push the ball down the field if he needs to. And if they pull a tendency breaker like that, could spell trouble for the Tigers. I also worry about the Kentucky running game. We are going to have to contain that, because if they are able to get consistent yards on the ground, it's going to turn into a very long day for the Clemson Tiger defense.
Yep. And I think to that point, it really does. And I mentioned what they do to kind of create opportunities in that run game, all the motion shifts that they do. That's, like I said, it's going to put a lot of stress on the linebackers. And being without Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Means, you're going to need some guys to step up. Obviously, Wade Woodaz and Kobe McLeod are the guys listed to potentially step into Trotter's role. Obviously, you still have Barrett Carter, but you're not deep there, and you don't have a ton of guys you can rely on. So it's going to really test your depth and kind of whether these guys are ready. Is Kobe McLeod ready? Is a guy like Jamal Anderson, D. Creighton, are those guys going to be ready to play? Because they're going to have to play more snaps without your All-American potential first round linebacker in there. So that's going to make things tough. And when you haven't played tackle football, at least in a real game, in several weeks, some of the things at times it's kind of like a week one game. The tackling can be, if you haven't spent the time, really tackling, that's something that could, pose issues. And if you don't tackle Ray Davis, I don't
It's
know.
It's gonna be a long night.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night.
Turns into a long night very quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's going to be important for the linebackers, the second level guys, to really be on their P's and Q's, because it's, they're going to throw a lot at them. Kentucky's going to throw a lot at them to create opportunities in the run game, because they have been a good run blocking team. Their pass, honestly, their offensive line is not, they're not world beaters, but they're decent. It's a decent offensive line. They haven't allowed a ton of pressure in the passing game, only about 20 sacks. I think they're tied with Clemson actually nationally in sacks allowed. I believe it's like 46 nationally. So nothing crazy, but they're not they're not an awful offensive line either. And
right.
they can play, and obviously they block well enough for Ray Davis to get holes to run through. So
yeah, I mean, he ran for 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns. So the offensive line did something right this season. They're maybe not as good at the pass blocking part of things, but they're definitely adequate in the running game. And that's really where they're going to attack Clemson. So this defensive line, this front seven, they're going to have to be ready early and often, and really stifle this running game. And what you really want to do if you're Clemson is force Devin Leary to beat you on the outside with his wide receivers. You cannot let Ray Davis be the reason that you lose this game.
Right.
You just can't do it. But I mean, that's a lot easier said than done. Did you know? Fun fact about Devin Leary, while we're still talking about the Kentucky offense, this is his first bowl game that he'll be playing in.
You know what?
He's a 6-year guy, and this is his first bowl game.
That's so crazy. But when you think about it, because he wasn't a full-time starter until 2020, correct?
Right.
At NC State, and I don't believe they played their bowl game in 2020.
No, it got canceled.
It got canceled
in 2020.
And then
2021, I think he was injured. So I think the following 2 seasons he was injured, and now he's at Kentucky playing in his first bowl game after he transferred.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. But when you think about it, you're like, yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if he was not the starter in 20, I think he was hurt in 2019. I don't think he started in NC State.
I don't think he was. Yeah, I don't.
I think he was 4 games that year.
I don't even think he was a starter that year. But yeah, I heard that stat today and I was like, that is wild. I just assumed that he had played in, multiple bowl games before, because I know, North Carolina State, they've made bowl games. So, but it didn't cross my mind that, he has been hurt towards the end of every season while he was at North Carolina State. So I'm sure he's excited and he'll have a lot to play for. But let's go ahead and shift gears to our Clemson defense. And just for everyone out there
the Clemson offense?
What's that?
Or do you want to? Are we talking about the Clemson defense?
We could talk. You want to go offense first? We can go Clemson offense.
Oh, okay. We can just okay. I thought we were kind of doing a whole. My fault. I thought we were talking about the Kentucky offense versus the Clemson defense, and it was kind of mixed. But okay.
That's what
we're just
okay.
All right, cool.
I was just focused a little bit more on the Clemson defense.
Okay, I'm real professional right now.
We'll get it together, guys. All right, so let's set the stage a little bit for people for the Clemson defense. What's been going on with them since the end of the season? Because this defense will not look like it did for this 4-game winning streak that we've been on since we were 4-4 earlier in the season. So a couple guys of note that are no longer with the Clemson Tigers, Andrew Makuba. So we'll be replacing him. He is now at Texas. He transferred out. But we got some adequate options there for him, right? You got a Khalil Barnes. You got R.J. Mickens. You got Jalen Phillips that's coming back off of injury. You got Kylan Griffin, who's a young freshman that's emerging really well, came on late in the season, right? Nate Wiggins is gone as well. So Nate Wiggins and Sheridan Jones is out with injury. Nate Wiggins declared for the NFL draft. Sheridan Jones is out with injury. So the starting cornerbacks for Clemson, I think, for this game will be Avian Terrell and Shelton Lewis, both freshmen. Both guys that have flashed towards the middle to late season for Clemson have showed the ability to really play well. But again, both freshmen, both true freshmen out there, going to play pretty much every snap. I think those guys are going to play almost every snap unless they roll an ankle or get hurt, because the depth behind them, there's not very much. Because we got a lot of injuries back there. Not only Sheridan Jones, but Jaden Lucas is out with injury. I think we got a couple other guys. Toriano Pride transferred.
Toriano Pride transferred, and then it's so crazy because then you're like, okay, man. So you look at it on the surface, you're like, okay, your starting two corners aren't playing, but you just automatically think, everybody else's should be good, right? Nope, because you had Toriano Pride transfer out. Jaden Lucas is walking, has like a cane.
Yeah, he can't even. He's in a dang wheelchair, basically.
Yeah. So and then you look at the depth chart for the Gator Bowl, and you see Miles Oliver and Austin Randall as the backup corners for Shelton and Avion.
Let's hope Avion Terrell and Shelton Lewis can hold it down for us for majority of the snaps there.
Miles Oliver, a guy really neither one of these guys you've seen any of. Miles Oliver was in the 2022 class, I believe. He's he redshirted in 2022, and so he would be a redshirt freshman this year, and then you have Austin Randall, the older brother of Adam Randall, former walk-on, playing. That's going to be something. Hopefully,
so
hopefully you don't have them have to play them too much.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the deal with the back end of Clemson's defense, which is going to be kind of weird to watch because the back end of Clemson defense has kind of been, for the most part, the strength of Clemson's defense this year. I mean, we've been really good in the passing game. We've been really good at shutting down some pretty explosive offenses, or limiting some explosive offenses, limiting some big time playmakers throughout the season. But we don't have our main guys, and then in the front seven, we're missing two big ones, and that's Ruka Rohoro and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think had 88 tackles on the season. I mean, and Rook is just a beast in the running game. I mean, you talk about those two guys missing in the front seven, and then you couple that with the guy on the other side of the ball and Ray Davis, who we just got finished telling you what he's about. And you got some holes in the front seven. Now, with that said, we do have some adequate depth behind him, a little bit more than adequate, I would say. And Peter Woods, he's going to get the nod as the starter opposite of Tyler Davis for our defensive tackles. And then Wade Woodaz will be the first guy that runs out at the linebacker position. But you mentioned some of the other guys that'll probably get some playing time behind Wade Woodaz and Barrett Carter as well. So Clemson's defense is going to look a little bit different. But again, the guys that are coming in to replace these guys are adequate replacements. They're guys that have proven this season that they can absolutely play big-time snaps in meaningful games and produce really good results on the field. So am I saying we're not going to miss those people at all? Absolutely not. But it is what it is. Next man up. We got who we got. And I'm not, completely dismayed about our outlook on defense. I still think our defense is going to play really well. Obviously, we're going to have to stack against the run. We already said we have to stop Ray Davis. And then you're going to kind of have to leave these guys in the back of the defense kind of on islands, because you are going to have to commit so much to preventing that running game from really getting out of hand when Kentucky's, especially early in the game against Kentucky.
Absolutely. So, it's going to be a test. It's a good opportunity for Wes to kind of see what he has in some of these younger guys, at corner and linebacker especially. So that's going to be, the challenge. You're still, pretty much intact at defensive line. So that's really good. If there's anything you want to be strong at on defense, it's the defensive line, because everything starts with winning up front. Um, so other than Rook, but you have like you said, you have a lot of depth there. Peter Woods has basically
Peter
been a
Woods, man.
starter. Has basically been a starter this year. So it'll be nothing new for him and then everybody else. And you feel good about the guys behind, him and Tyler Davis, Demonte Capehart, Peyton Page,
Mm-hmm.
guys that have come in, stepped in, and played a lot of snaps and played really, really well.
Absolutely. And I
So
think Peter Woods has been listed as a co-starter for pretty
yeah,
much the
yes,
entire second half of the season at least. So,
he
I
was a
mean,
co-starter at the beginning this entire
at
year.
the
I'm pretty
beginning,
sure.
was he the
Yeah,
entire season? I know he was
I think
definitely
so.
the second half. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
about the beginning, but I mean, he's played a ton of snaps. I mean, I don't, you know, obviously you like the experience of a Rook to be in there if you had him, but look, I don't think there's very much drop off when you're talking about Peter Woods coming in the game. That dude is elite, and thankfully we have him because we're going to be losing Tyler Davis after this game. So he's going to be a very important piece for this interior Clemson defensive line for a couple years to come.
Absolutely. So while there are some, there's some holes and some slight concerns on this defense. I mean, I kind of feel the same. I still expect this defense to play at a high level, and we've seen, if injuries happen, then you start to get into the depth a little bit. That's where you get a little concerned. But I think the starting 11 for the defense tomorrow is in good shape. I mean, I think Evion Terrell and Shelton Lewis are about as ready and as any true freshman corners Clemson has had in a while, and they've really turned it on. And this, when their name was called on the second half of the year, and they've played really, really good football, and they've learned from some. They've learned from two really experienced guys. Nate Wiggins, obviously a first-round talent at corner, and and Sheridan Jones has played a ton of football and is a leader. So and obviously he'll be. I'm pretty sure I think he'll be there. Sheridan Jones at least will be there at the game. So while he's not playing, I think so. That leadership will still be there. So I think the defense is still in pretty good shape, at least the starting 11. And we'll have our questions somewhat answered about some of the guys, behind them. Are they ready? And it'll be a testament to kind of how this staff has developed them over the course of this month and these 15 bowl practices. So
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, yeah, I think it'll be a good test for the coaching staff, and then it'll be nice as fans just to get a glimpse at kind of what this defense will look like next season with all those guys gone. In one hand, you're like, man, I really wish they would have played the bowl game, but in the other hand, you kind of get a preview of the 2024 Clemson defense and what that might look like. So a big test for Wes Goodwin. Big test for the coaching staff to kind of put a plan together, and I to your point, I think as long as our starting 11 stay healthy, I think this defense is going to give Kentucky all they want on offense, and really be able to limit what they're able to do. But let's go ahead and transition to the Clemson offense a little bit, and then we'll talk to Kentucky defense at the same time. I guess we'll do it all together this time. So the Clemson offense, obviously, we're missing a couple pieces. Obviously, Bo Collins decided to transfer out, so we'll be missing him for the game. But we are getting Antonio Williams back. Will Shipley is playing in the game. We're unsure of his NFL decision, but he is playing in the game. We also have a Tyler Brown. So one of the big things that I'm excited for this offense is really just, seeing what they have with Tyler Brown and Antonio Williams on the field at the same time, right? I think that's going to be a key. Like I'm excited to see what Clemson draws up with them. Now I know Dabo said in an interview today that we don't need Antonio Williams out there for 40 or 50 snaps or whatever he said. So it sounds like they probably will limit Antonio Williams to a degree. How much, we won't know, obviously, until we watch the game. But I'm excited to see him and Tyler Brown on the field together at the same time. Obviously, we got the new OL coach. Thomas Austin's out, Matt Luke's in. How much effect is that going to have on the offensive line? Probably not a ton in this game. You can't, really overhaul an offensive line in 10 to 12 practices. But I'm sure having a voice there, kind of a different coaching style, more energetic, may have some effect on the offensive line. We'll see. Um, we're missing a few guys, but you're getting Antonio Williams back, I think, is a huge deal for this game, and for this Clemson offense. Cade really just needs to take care of the ball. The Clemson team as a whole, running backs included, need to take care of the ball. Turnovers are going to be a key for this game. You turn the ball over. The way that Clemson and Kentucky play, this is probably going to be a very fast game, right? Because the amount of time that they like to spend running the ball, and really ground and pound stuff like that. This game may go a lot quicker than you want it to. You may not get as many possessions as you think you're going to get. So giving away a possession could spell disaster. And then on the Kentucky side of the ball, I guess the defense, they're kind of a little similar to Clemson in stopping the run. I think they give up just over 100 yards rushing a game. So they're pretty good at stopping the run, especially the inside run that Clemson likes to do a lot. They're pretty good at defending that. But where they are vulnerable is kind of in the passing game. Clemson hasn't been a super explosive team this year, obviously. We have struggled. Offense has looked painful at times for us. So it's kind of strength on strength, if you will, for Clemson's offense and Kentucky's defense. We like to run the ball. They're pretty good at stopping the run. They're not so good at the passing defense. We're not so good at pushing the ball down the field. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. Obviously, like we stated earlier in the show, the trenches are going to be key. The offensive line, the push that they're able to get, how consistently can we get yards on the ground, and then how creatively can Garrett Riley and these receivers kind of create space and get some opportunities in the passing game, because there is plays to be had at the back end of this Kentucky defense. But the problem is, are you going to protect Cade enough to get him there? And then, our guy's going to be open? Are the reads going to be read properly? Is that stuff going to happen? So your thoughts on the Clemson offense and the Kentucky defense?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup. I mean, like I said, this Kentucky defense is really, really good, and I think it starts with their defensive line. I think this will be one of the better defensive lines you've played this year. Deion Walker is that number 0. Deion Walker, he is a massive human being. Just when you watch him on tape, and not only is he massive, he's fast. And he's one of the best. He's the best pass rusher on the team. Leads the team in sacks and tackles for loss. That's hard to do as a defensive tackle, but he does. And he's had some moments this season where he just flat out blew up plays by himself. He's a really good football player. He's only a true sophomore too. He's not even eligible for the draft this year, but I expect him to be pretty high up there on a lot of boards this time next year. Really, really good football player. But that entire defensive line is really, really good. JJ Weaver, he kind of plays their jack position. He is a really, really tough pass rusher as well. They like to, they'll drop him in coverage on occasion, but they really like him as a pass rusher. He's really effective there. So that it really starts with Kentucky's front seven, and particularly that defensive line. They're really, really good. So I think, especially for the interior of this offensive line, they're going to have their work cut out for them, because Kentucky's defensive line is big and tough to move. So you're going to have to show that same physicality, because that's how they play, and that's kind of how they've attacked teams and made things difficult for them. So you're going to have to get some push against a a really big Kentucky defensive line. And like you said, the secondary is obviously not quite as good. Andrew Phillips is a guy that is an NFL prospect, but outside of that, they haven't performed particularly well. I believe they're 87th nationally in passing yards per game allowed. So there will be plays to be had, and that's why I think this game will be a really good opportunity for a guy like Adam Randall, who we didn't mention, because he, with Bo Collins not playing, you don't really have somebody stepping up at that outside receiver role position, and I think Adam Randall is the next guy up, and he's a guy that we've been waiting all season to kind of see the promise that we had been talked about for since he got here. This is a really good opportunity for him. Cade, was talking about him in bowl press conferences, saying, Adam Randall looks as fast as I've ever seen him, in practices. But, we've heard some really good things about Adam Randall in practice before, a lot of really good things about Adam Randall in practice before. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of secure his spot as that guy on the outside, that deep threat on the outside. And, I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for him. I think he's played better as of late. I thought he made some nice catches the last couple of weeks, but I really I think this is his opportunity to really seize, some momentum heading into next season. And because you look at him and you're like, man, there is no reason he's not an All ACC caliber wide receiver, potential All American, because he's built like DK Metcalf and AJ. He's built like those Ole Miss receivers that they used to have. Just massive human being, but moves, but runs like a slot guy. Just the straight line speed. So you haven't really seen enough of it. So I think this is a good opportunity for him. And obviously, Cade needs to, this is a good opportunity for him. How much improvement has he made, in these bowl practices? You're going to be playing a really good defense, but you're going to have some opportunities to hit some plays in the passing game based off of what we've seen from Kentucky's defense so far. So can you do it? Are you going to be able to make those reads? Are you going to be able to sit back in the pocket, assuming the offensive line gives you time? So there are a lot of things and a lot of questions that can never be fully answered by a bowl game, but it would give you some. If Clemson were to have a good passing performance, I think it would have you feeling a little bit better heading into next season, and maybe you see the growth from Cade there. So that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and look, anytime you can end a season, regardless of where we thought Clemson would be at this point back in fall camp and where we are now, all that aside, that doesn't really matter at this point. Anytime you can end a season with a win, it's going to be big, right? Just from an optic standpoint, just from a momentum standpoint, it just feels better to go into an offseason, open up spring practice with, the last time you trotted out on the field, you won. Plus, we got a lot of guys here, that are going to be moving on. You think about your Tyler Davises, your Xavier Thomases, your Will Putnams, guys like that who have put in a ton into this program. Just sending them off with a win is another huge thing, I think, for me as well. And to your Adam Randall point, he's got to feel some sense of pressure as well, with the wide receivers that are coming in. This 2024 cycle, they're going to push for playing time pretty early. So this is an opportunity for him to really solidify himself and show what he can do out on the field and carve him out a spot in this offense where he can be a trusted guy to really go up and get these balls downfield. And, I think this shapes up to be one of those games where he could really show his skill set and show what he can do. With Bo Collins being out of the picture, you could play all those snaps now. All those snaps could be yours. And if you go out there and really execute and you show the type of player that, you've been said to be in practice, before all the ACL injuries and the surgeries and stuff like that, you know, it feels a lot different for an Adam Randall heading into spring practice, right? If you come out here and have a really good game. So a lot of stuff to be gained on the Clemson side of the ball. But, obviously Clemson is going to want to run the ball early. That's just kind of their MO. You saw it down the back half of the season, down the home stretch. They really want to run the ball. They want to be physical, and then they want to use that to set up the pass. So that's going to be a key for this Clemson offense. Again, the trenches are going to matter. Um, so we'll see if Clemson's up to the task pretty early, or if Kentucky's up to the task pretty early. But I think pretty early in this game, you're going to have a feel for how the rest, how the game will go. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be a a tough game, a hard fought game, a low scoring game, a physical game. It's not going to be this explosive plays and these big time scoring. These 2, 3, 4 play scoring drives. It'll be more methodical drives. And special teams is going to be key. I know we kind of neglect special teams a lot of times when it comes to talking about these matchups and stuff like that. But with the style that Kentucky and Clemson play with, and how good these two defenses can be at times, again, possessions are going to be at a premium. Field position is going to be at a premium. Aiden Swanson could be one of the pivotal players in this game, because if you can win the field position battle and start pinning Kentucky deep, and your defense can really pin their ears back and start going to work, you can really limit what they can do on offense and set your offense up in much better field position, shorten the field for them, help them out with a shorter field. Therefore, they got to drive a lot less in order to produce points on the scoreboard. So I think special teams is going to be another big key in this game. I know our old kicker is coming fresh off a pretty good game, feeling good about himself. We need him to continue that in this game,
Yes.
because I do think field goals are going to be, needed in this game. I hope it doesn't come down to a field goal, but I think field goals will be needed in this game. I think it's going to be that kind of a field position type game. And Aiden Swanson's been pretty consistent this year. He's been in some cases he's been a weapon for this Clemson team. And if we can win the field position battle and use Aiden Swanson to pin them deep, take care of the football, I like Clemson's chances. But again, turnovers, field position, and lines of scrimmage, I think are really the biggest things. And that's no breaking news. That's pretty much every football game ever. But when you look at these two offenses, they're not able to explode and produce a lot of points. So those things become even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a big deal in this game. And Kentucky has some guys that can return it. They are, I believe, they're fourth nationally in return yardage. So that's going to be you got to. I mean, we're talking about shifting field position, all that. They have some guys that can do that. So you got to be a good coverage unit. You're going to have a lot of guys. Clemson, Dabo likes to use these bowl games as an opportunity to play a lot of guys. There's going to be a lot of inexperience playing on special teams. I mean, he does that anyway in every game, but this one especially, because these games don't count towards these players' red shirts. So he's going to be liberal with who he throws out there, but they have to be able to go in there and tackle because Kentucky has some playmakers. So special teams is going to be a big deal, and special teams has played a huge part in what 1, 2, 3, wow, 3 of Clemson's last 4 wins, pretty much.
Yep.
It's going to be. I expect it to be the same tomorrow. So Yeah, special teams is extremely important. Need Jonathan Whites to show up. Need Aiden Swanson to show up like he has all year, and make sure that they're winning that that field position battle, because that could be the difference in this game.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's going to be a big part of the game for sure. We'll see how the special teams plays out. Sometimes that ends up disastrous for the Clemson Tigers. Jeremiah Allen, yeah, Quadzilla, yes, he hit the portal. I think he's at Georgia State now.
Yep. Good fit for him. Really good fit for him.
Happy for him, man. I really hope he has a great year next year.
He's going to get a lot of burn in that offense.
Yeah,
they run the ball. They run hell on the ball.
Yeah, there wasn't carries for him to get at Clemson. I think he was good enough to play, but when you have Will Shipley and Phil Maffa, it's hard to crack that rotation. There wasn't even in some instances there wasn't enough carries for Phil Maffa and Will Shipley to go around. So the third string definitely wasn't getting any love. But good fit for him. I think he'll do well. I think he's a guy I think you could see in the NFL one day, for sure.
I wouldn't go that far, but I do think I think he's a guy that can be a really, really productive college running back. And I think in that offense he's going to get a lot of burn, a lot of touches. They love to run the ball at Georgia State.
That's your guy then.
Yeah. So
that's your guy.
Yeah, he's a bruiser, and he's a guy that can take a lot of carries. So excited to see how he does over there. But yeah,
absolutely. All right. Well, that kind of wraps up the scoop on Clemson versus Kentucky, as far as kind of breaking down the matchup and the guys that are playing, guys that ain't playing, people that are hurt, people that are coming up back off of injury, all that stuff. I think we kind of summed it up pretty well, gave people kind of insight in what to look for tomorrow during the game. So I think it's time that we talk about the spread for this game. So I think the spread for this game, the Gator Bowl, is Clemson -4. Over under is 44.5. Again, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. What's your feel on that spread? Are you taking Clemson in the spread, or I put up a poll on the page earlier. Let me see what the poll looks like while you give your answer on the spread.
Well, I'll say that I don't want to give my spread pick yet, because it might betray my answer a little bit. But I think the total, I think under is the play. I expect this to be a rock fight. I don't see these teams scoring 6 touchdowns between the two of them.
So we had 104 votes, and 89% of the people went with Clemson -4.
I mean, I could see Clemson covering, but I'll wait, and my score prediction will tell you how I feel about the spread. But yeah, I think the total, I think it's got to be under. I don't see the scoring opportunities for either offense really. Both defenses are really, really good. Even with guys not playing, and so and neither of these offenses have really played great against even like the subpar defenses they played. I will say Kentucky, they did some nice things against Louisville, but Louisville as of late has not been anything to write home about. A good win for them though. So but on the whole, you can't take away from one game, and over the entire body of work for both offenses tells me that this game is not going over 44 points. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would hit that under every. Yeah, I feel strongly about the under in this game for sure. All right, we're gonna move on to our score prediction in a minute, but before we do that, give me one or two guys on the offense and the defense that you think will be pivotal in this game for Clemson?
You know what's funny? I was literally going to ask you that same question. Like I didn't. I was going to wait until after we gave the score predictions, but this is perfect.
See, we're here. We're here.
Yeah, we're locked in. We weren't. Yeah. Once we don't really like we said, we don't really plan these out beforehand.
No.
So yeah, it's pretty magical how we just did that. But anyway, I think for the offense, I think it's pivotal. I think you have to win at the line of scrimmage. It's kind of cheap, but I'm going with the entire offensive line. I think they have to play well. Because I cannot see a world where Clemson gets whooped up front and they do much on offense. If you lose the line of scrimmage, I can't. I can't see Clemson. Over. Yeah, I can't see Clemson winning this game. So offensively, I think the entire offensive line, but that's kind of cheating. And I guess other than that, I think the receivers have to step up and have to make plays. So I'm going to go with Adam Randall, who I talked about earlier, because I think there are going to be more opportunities in the pass game than the running game, because Kentucky's run defense is really, really good. So got to win. Got to win on the interior up front, especially, and Adam Randall and the rest of those receivers. They have to make plays when they're there, because they're going to come in at premium.
Absolutely.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, that's going to be I'm going to go. I think it starts with the linebackers. I think the linebackers have to play in the second level, but they have to play well. So Barrett Carter, Wade Woodaz got to be big time players. They got to tackle, especially because you can't expect, and you can't ask Avion Terrell and Shelton Lewis, great cover corners, but them against Ray Davis, one-on-one tackling doesn't really sound very appealing. And I think, you'd rather have like RJ Mickens and Jalen Phillips to come down and play the run there. But even then, you really don't want them to get Ray Davis to get that far into your defense, because it's tough to stop him once he's that far. So linebackers have to, they have to be disciplined in their run fits. They can't let Kentucky, the motions and shifts and stuff that they do to confuse them. They have to be able to play the run well. The linebackers, but I'm just going to say Barrett Carter, because I think he's a guy that has had some moments where he has not tackled very well this year. So this is a good test for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I like those picks. It's funny. I was going to say the offensive line as well, but I change up my picks a little bit. And I will go Will Shipley first and foremost. I think he's going to be pivotal in creating space in the passing game, because he does have a good ability to go out and leak into and get a mismatch on some linebackers. I think that'll be key in the game, along with his ability to run the ball. And then I'm gonna go with Cade Klubnik. I just want to see him show a little bit of growth in this game. I want to see him step up, take care of the football, and just make good decisions, good sound decisions. Don't try to play hero ball. Take what's there, make good reads, make good decisions, and use your legs when you have to. When the play breaks down, use your legs, because I think Cade is a little bit underrated when it comes to his ability to use his legs as a weapon. And he started to do it a little bit more, and we need to see more of that, I think, in this game, in order for Clemson to be successful and really challenge this Kentucky defense. Big John, get in with a super chat.
Yeah, thank you for the $5, Big John. He says blender drinks during the game to ease the pain. Equal parts heavy cream, creme de coco, and brandy, ice and blend. It's my painkiller special. Wow, that's interesting. I'm not a huge brandy guy, but I would give that a try. I would drink that.
Yeah, for
I'd try
sure.
that. Yeah,
Shout out
I'm
to
gonna
Big John for the mixed
for this.
drinks
Yeah, thank you for the
and the
suggestion.
$5 super chat, man. Thank you for supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Um, and then I think on the defensive side of the ball for me, um, I'm going to go those young corners. I think they're going to be asked to be put out on islands during this game due to the commitment that's going to have to be made for the run. And then this is a selfish pick for me, but I'm going to go Xavier Thomas just because I just really, 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 really want to see him go out with an absolute just monster game.
That'd be
Um,
awesome.
that's just like that would be perfect for me. Just because he's one of my favorite Clemson players. I like his story. He's just a genuine dude. Been through a lot at Clemson. Been through a lot of adversity. Kept his head down. Never made any excuses. And he came back this year and played really well. I swear the dude gets held on like every play. Every time I watch
Yeah,
Xavier Thomas, he's getting like ripped apart, and I'm just like, "Where's the flags at, dude? This dude gets held on every play." And I know everybody says that about their team, but like, watch Xavier Thomas when he's rushing the quarterback. This dude
oh
gets held all the time. It's crazy. So I would love for XT to go out with an absolute monster game, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. I don't know, something crazy, some crazy stat line would be absolutely amazing and fitting exclamation point on an end to his career. Tyler Davis as well, just because of
absolutely.
all he's done for Clemson. But
Yeah.
those would be my guys that I'd be on the lookout for. And I think there's opportunity for sacks in this game, so that's also another reason that I said Xavier Thomas. But let's go ahead and get into our score prediction, Jordan. Score prediction for this game. You want to go first, or you
I'm
want me to
down.
go first? Okay.
Sure. I can go first.
All right.
I'm just cut right to it. I'm feeling 20-17 Tigers. I think so. Kentucky slightly covers, but I think it's going to be a rock fight. Going to be very little offense to speak of. I might be I might be giving both offenses too much credit, like I did with the South Carolina game,
Yeah.
but I expect it to be a little bit better than that because they've had some time to prepare, but I don't expect a ton of offense. I don't expect them to. I think it's going to be a rock fight. I think both defenses are going to make plays in this game, and it's going to come down to like we said, the small things, the field position game, special teams, all of that, and limiting what both offenses do best, which is running the football. So it's who makes one or two more plays, because I do think this is a just on paper, I think this is a pretty tight matchup. So, yeah, 20-17. I think Clemson, finds a way to win and you move on. But I'm not expecting some offensive masterclass. Although I would greatly appreciate that, and it would definitely feel better going to this. But we've seen this team for 12 games now, and
They are who they are.
I think, yeah, they are who they are at this point. But I think it's an opportunity for some individuals to kind of step up and kind of show some promise. So, does K take care of the football? Does he, run the offense? Does he manage the game? If he can do those things, I think you come out of that feeling, somewhat positive. Because I like I said, I don't expect some, renaissance, performance from this offense where they just figured everything out, because that's just not where they're at, especially with some of the guys that are still banged up. So, yeah, 20-17 Clemson is kind of where I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I had a similar score. I'm going to go 23 to 16. 23-16. Clemson. Obviously, take Clemson to cover. Obviously, taking the under. Like just echoing what you said, man. And what we said earlier in the show. It's going to be a field position game. It's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. Whatever team's offenses and defensive lines decide to win the line of scrimmage will win the game, as long as you're not turning the ball over, right? And that's a tough ask for this Clemson team because we haven't been through a single game this season without a turnover. Every game this season, Clemson has turned the ball over. Now, we're +2 in the turnover margin somehow, magically. But we continue to turn the ball over, although the second half of the season they weren't as detrimental of turnovers as they were earlier in the season. We're still turning the ball over, so obviously we need to take care of the ball. Like I said, possessions, field position, points, all going to be at a premium for this game. This is going to be kind of an old school, run it down your throat, test of wills type of game. It's going to be a little bit of a different style, a little bit exciting to watch if you're kind of an old school football fan. It's definitely not going to look like what West Virginia did to North Carolina. At least I hope not.
No. I would hope not, because that would be really disappointing. I mean, it's like, yeah, we have some guys out, but we're not that depleted. Good Lord. So I think we feel the same about this game. This team, we've talked about turnovers. We've talked about turnovers all season. This team has turned the ball over in every single game they've played this year. So
yeah,
it just had me wondering. I'm sure Tim Beret has the stat because he has the stat for everything. But
for sure,
when's the last time? Like, when's the last time Clemson went an entire season, turning the ball over in every single game? Like, has that ever happened before? Or like, because that just, I want to know how common that is in general, because it's just kind of unbelievable how this team has done it this year.
Like, I don't know the stat, but I would think that it has been a very long time since Clemson, or really any team like that. Like, maybe it's more common than we're imagining, but I would imagine it's very rare for a team to go through an entire season and turn the ball over in every single game, especially and have a winning record. Like, I mean, it seems kind of crazy to turn the ball over that consistently. We could be wrong, and I'm sure Tim Beret has the stat. I'm sure he could pull it up in 0.5 seconds, because Tim Beret knows every Clemson stat there ever was. But it would be interesting to know that stat. Somebody should tweet at Tim Beret and figure out what that stat is.
Yeah.
When's the last time a Clemson team turned the ball over in every game of the season? Because we've done it so far. Now we have an opportunity to make that streak end. But we'll see how it goes.
It would surprise me against this defense, but
I at this point, like this season, when I watch Clemson, I expect a turnover. It's just like, when is it coming? I know it's coming. When is it coming? Hopefully it doesn't come at some, disastrous time where it completely turns the momentum of a game. Like red zone turnovers or pick sixes, scooping scores. I think as long as you avoid those in this game, you should be okay. But, again, that's been easier said than done for this Clemson Tigers team. So, that's our score prediction. What everybody in the chat say? Anybody got some different score predictions than us? Think it's going to go different? I see Tig says 19-17 Tigers. Jeez. Oh, man.
Yeah, that would be something.
That'd be a rough game to watch.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I said 20-17, so
I know it. We didn't. Yeah, we didn't predict much better.
Yeah. So how would would they get to 9? So they would score a touchdown and then what? 4 field goals.
4 field goals.
Yeah.
Which I could totally see this game turning into a field goal fest. Like, I could I could definitely see this turning into like a South Carolina game where it's just like a field goal fest, where you get enough yards to get a field goal, and that's it. I could see that happening for both of these
I totally could.
offenses.
Totally could.
That's why I predicted 16. I think
For
they
Kentucky,
score.
yeah.
Yeah,
Touchdown, 3 field goals,
3 field goals. Yeah, touchdown, 3 field goals, 16 points.
Hey, two touchdowns and a safety.
Yeah, hopefully not. Don't say that.
Yeah, I probably said that. Yeah, my fault.
That could definitely happen. Man. Oh man. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully we get out tomorrow with a win. But the good part is, Jordan, we don't have to wait very much longer. It's 8:30 at night right now. Clemson plays at noon tomorrow. Every one of you in here better be back for our post game live, or else.
Yes.
Or else what? I don't know. But just know that you don't want to find out.
That's right.
But
we're threatening
I think that we're threatening our viewers. I'm sure that'll work out very well for us. What could go wrong?
Stop.
All right. I think that'll do it for our semi. I always say our planned portion of the show, but do we even have a planned portion of the show? Not really.
Not really. No.
Not really.
We don't play these.
This is totally off the cuff, 100% of the time. We know generally what we're talking about. Today we came in and we knew we were generally talking about the Gator Bowl, and then we just let it roll from there. So there's some backstage information for you guys.
There you go.
Me and Jordan, we
behind the scenes.
We got a whole script. We type it up. We email it to each other. We got
even this is part of the script. We're reading
see. Somebody forgot to delete it. Read off teleprompters.
Yeah, we have the same script writers as the NFL. Clearly,
yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing. Have no idea. K Klubnik Enthusiast says 31-14. All right, I could get behind that. Hopefully,
I would take that.
I'll take that all day. All day. That means our offense figured some stuff out, and our defense played pretty well. So I would take that all day. But anyways, this is a portion of the show. We're going to turn it over to the chat section. So if you guys got any questions, any comments, want to ask us any questions about the Gator Bowl or anything in general, the time is now. The floor is yours. We give you a few minutes to get your questions in. Then we'll respond to some, and then we'll get out of here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Obviously, most people in here already know that me and Jordan do a post-game live video after each Clemson game. And then before anyone goes anywhere, the All-In Show is a year-round college football show, year-round Clemson college football show. We do not stop in the offseason. We will still be here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Doing the same stuff we're doing now, talking Clemson football, talking college football. There's always stuff to talk about. And if not, we'll make it up. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's how we do it. That's how we do it. Let's see what you guys are talking about. David Wood says on Thursdays you should remind everyone about the show on Walt Show. I'm assuming he's talking about Walt Deptula. I don't have that kind of pull, buddy. I do not know Walt at all. So I know Morgan. I could see if I could ask him, Morgan Thomas, and see, say, hey, is there a way you could get me on the Roar so I can tell everybody about the All-In Show? Like if that happened, like I think we've peaked. Like the show is peaked. Like,
that would be wild. That would be wild. I wish.
I wish.
Yeah. I got no insides with Walt Deptula.
Yeah. So that would be something.
My closest inside that I got is Jordan. That's it. That's my inside.
I am definely not any sort of insider. So if I'm your best insider, we're cooked.
Oh man.
Let's see. Tiger Tom says, if tomorrow is a long game, I'll be mixing my winter whiskey with Amish eggnog, which is second to none.
Wow.
Adding a jigger of Coke, and I'll survive. Yeah. You're gonna be lit. You're gonna be lit tomorrow.
We can't do that. We'll be getting on here and saying all kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I know.
We can't keep up with you, Tom.
That's different.
You got us. Yeah.
That's dope though. That's cool. I didn't even know Amish eggnog was a thing. That's cool. Let's see.
I didn't either, but I want to try it now.
Lawnmower Man says he's kind of venting here. He says, I'm a diehard Tiger fan, but I speak the truth, and when you fell off so bad, it's hard to watch. Kentucky might run for 200 and win the game. Don't get me started on Dabo and the offense. Geez, terrible. And, Lawnmower, I understand a lot of the frustration, and, I think this whole fan base is frustrated with how this season has gone. But, I will say, I don't think there's going to be much, too much to take away from this game, regardless of the result. That's the nature of bowl games. You don't, especially nowadays, because of, opt-outs and stuff like that. I don't think there's going to be too much, to take away from this game. But I do think it's not, for whoever wins it, it's an opportunity to go into next season with some momentum. And, maybe you kind of see what you have, especially with the guys, on Clemson's end that aren't playing. You get to see who you have behind them, who you're expecting to rely on heading into the spring. But I know that the trajectory of the program isn't where we had all hoped it would be. At this time, August. But I think things are still I'm not totally dejected or pessimistic about the future of this program. I think Clemson has a really good recruiting class coming in. I think they've done some things different, and there are things that still need to change. But I'm not going into this bowl game expecting a disastrous performance. Now, if that happens, that it happens. But again, I understand your frustration, and Clemson is not what it was 3-4 years ago.
No, and I mean, I think part of his frustration and a lot of Clemson fans is just, I don't think it had to get to this point. I feel like Clemson has gotten to a point where, we kind of have to dig ourselves out of a little bit of a hole. Although I don't think it's as deep, as it could be. But we are in a hole. We have fallen off from, what Clemson was at one point in time. So, I do get the frustration. I get frustrated at times too. I mean, you guys see me and Jordan come on here after losses sometimes, and we're just, sometimes it's somewhat of a chore to kind of push through some of those losses and talk about the things that have gone wrong in this program. But I think you do see Dabo starting to, steer the ship in somewhat of a better direction. You've seen some coaching hires over the past 2 off seasons that tell you that he's not happy with the trajectory of the program, that it tells you that he understands that, we're not where we need to be. So, and I'm not saying he's done everything right, but I do like some of the, I do like the hires that he's made. And you just hope that these guys can develop the talent that's on Clemson right now, because I don't think Clemson's devoid of talent. I think we have plenty of talent. We did, or possibly still do in some areas, have a coaching issue and a developmental issue, and to some degree that's starting to be corrected. And all we can do is hope that these recent coaching hires are enough to propel Clemson back to where we used to be.
Yeah, and the coaching hires, I think the recruiting class, especially, this one and last year's, I think, I've raved about the 2023 and 2024 classes. I still feel really good about these guys. And, the feeling internally is that, these 2 classes are going to be the classes that kind of bring Clemson back, so to speak. Yeah. So I think there's some reasons for optimism there, and you got to trust that. I think you already mentioned it. The coaching hires are to come in and address some of the issues that Clemson has had from a developmental standpoint, and a coaching standpoint. So you got to trust that these hires are the ones that make the difference, and coach up the talent that Clemson already has, because Clemson is not, they're not, their recruiting hasn't fallen off. They're not, pulling in, the 50th ranked recruiting class, and the talent profile of the roster has dipped significantly. I just, you're not hitting on the guys that you used to, and you're not developing, some of the higher rated guys that you've gotten. So,
yep.
I think you're seeing, I think Dabo realizes that, and you're seeing that be addressed, but, only time will tell. So we'll see. But yeah, I didn't mean to take that in a long time, but understand the frustration. But that's kind of where we are. And so you kind of have to have a forward-looking mentality about it, because lamenting on, what has already happened, there's no point. And obviously this program can't operate, living in the past.
No.
Let's see. Tig says, who is your under the radar player for Clemson? So under the radar in the bowl game, or just under the radar in general? Because I think getting Jalen Phillips back was a really big deal for this game. Just his experience. This is his last game as well. It's going to be nice to see. Clemson wants to send these seniors out with a bang, especially Tyler Davis, Rukaroro, Justin Mascall. I'm sorry, not Rook. He's not playing, but Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas, Jalen Phillips. Those guys are. Those guys have done a lot for this program. So want to send them out. But yeah, Jalen Phillips is one of the more underappreciated players on this defense. He's when he's played, he's one of the best tacklers on the team. And he's improved every year as a coverage guy. And really between him and RJ Mickens, I think these are two of the better safeties Clemson has had, I think, under Dabo. Just they're not the high end NFL talents, they're not the guys that are going to go, first, second round, like, DeAndre McDaniel did, or so I think, but they're really, really smart football players. And that's, I think that's what, this defense has needed more than anything, especially after last year, giving up all those explosive pass plays. Those guys have been really, really good football players. And so I guess I would say Jalen Phillips, but a guy that'll be on the team next year. I mean, it's hard to pick an under the radar player. Because, the guys that you would name are not under the radar for Clemson fans, but I'm going to say Kylan Griffin. It's very clear. I feel like he's a guy that has kind of you're seeing the staff kind of put their trust in him. He's listed as the backup safety at both safety positions and at nickel. So they clearly think he's the guy that they can plug anywhere, on that back end and feel okay about if they need to. And he's going to be in a bigger role next year. So I'm gonna say Kylan Griffin. You have one?
That's a good pick. Let's see. I mean, all the guys I'm thinking about aren't really under the radar type of deals. Thinking about impact players next year. But I mean, none of those guys are really, I wouldn't say under the radar.
Well, Tig said he meant in the bowl game, so I guess.
Oh, bowl game. Okay.
I gave a long dissertation, but I still feel like Kylan Griffin could be an under the radar guy in the bowl game too. Because
for sure. Under the radar in the bowl game. Let's see. Maybe. See, I'll go with a wide receiver. Maybe a Troy Stellato. I don't know if he's really under the radar.
I can get down with that.
But he's a guy that I think could really affect the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he'll definitely be in a bigger role. So he definitely be a guy that could make some plays, and Cade clearly trusts him. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lawnmower Man also asked any word on Vic Burley's availability. Yeah, he's not playing.
He's not playing.
Yeah, he's a guy. Yeah, he was out for the year, and that's that. So, they hope to get him back they hope to get him back for spring. But yeah, he's not him and Stephylan Green. I saw someone earlier in the show mention Stephylan Green. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, he's out.
He's not there yet either.
I think it's better.
It sucks. I'm a huge Stephylan Green.
I think it's better that they just sit out, though.
Yeah,
I don't think it benefits much by having them play and risk setting them back from an injury standpoint. I think it'd be more beneficial to have those guys have a full spring than it would be to play them in a bowl game for a few snaps and potentially get them hurt.
Jackson Johnson gets in. He says, "What's up, Clemson Tiger Nation? Good to see you, man." Jackson Johnson does a lot of great work over on his channel, his show, The Jacksonian. So y'all make sure and check him out. And he's also a great contributor on all of Mark Rogers and the Voice of College Football YouTube channels. So does a great job promoting on social media too. So y'all make sure to check him out as well. I'm gonna see if I can post his channel in the comments real quick. While we're doing that, David Smith says, "Love y'all show. Great content as always." Well, thank you, David. We greatly appreciate that. He also says, "I'm not as down about Clemson football as a lot of people are. I'm still optimistic about the program. Very hard to stay home at elite level all the time, no matter who you are." I mean, yeah, and there's definitely a lot of truth to that. I mean, it's hard, when you're at the top, you're not chasing anybody anymore, and everybody's chasing you. And so that makes it difficult to put the target on your back and all of that. And it's tough to, Clemson, has been one of the most consistent programs in college football for over a decade now. However many 10-win seasons that they had, the conference championships, the college football playoff appearances, obviously the 2 national championships, it's hard to maintain that level. But I don't think, those days are out of reach, and I don't think that's something that Clemson can't get back to. And I think they've taken steps as of late to bring this program back to that. But, again, it'll take time, and it's a wait and see at this point. So, and things have to change, some other things have to change, but I think they're moving in the right direction, I think.
Right. And that's all you can really ask for. That's kind of where we're at right now. And that's what makes what Alabama has done and is doing so impressive. That's why Nick Saban is regarded as who he is. It's hard to do. It's the product of success is difficult.
Absolutely.
Everybody comes after your players. Everybody circles your name on the schedule. All that good stuff.
Alexander, man,
coming in with the $10 super chat. Appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely. He says, great pregame analysis. Thank you. He says, I'm hoping to see Clemson commit to the run tomorrow. Mafo left and Mafo right. Go Tigers. Hey, I like that game plan out of there.
Hey,
so.
I'm 100% okay with that. Hey, Clemson can run the ball 60 times tomorrow. I would not be upset about it.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a shot or two here or there, but other than that, I'm with you.
Do what you got to do to win the football game.
Run the ball. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just got to win.
Yeah.
But thank you for supporting the channel, man. Greatly appreciated.
Tig says, any word on Tiger Paul Craven's availability? That's right. Yeah, Tig wants me and you to suit up for this game.
That's right. Yeah, that's who I should have said. Jordan Bowman. That's my under the radar.
I could have been under the radar. Yeah, I'm trying out there receiver.
I said receiver, right? So Jordan Bowman. Yeah, that's my under the radar. He's gonna go 8 catches for $150 and 2 touchdowns.
Man, we haven't had a wide receiver put up those numbers. Well, Tyler Brown did it against Syracuse, but that's about it.
Yeah. It's those are becoming outliers where they used to be more frequent in the Clemson offense. Yeah. Hey, check out Jeremiah Allen in here. Go Clemson football, representing some of the Clemson fans out here in Okinawa, Japan, serving in the military. Thank you for your service, man. Hey, Jordan, check us out, man. We have gone international. Look at that.
Yeah, between him and the Hard Take, who's in Europe.
Look at us, man. We're spreading all over the world, man.
When we say this is the all-in show, we mean this is the all-in show.
All in, man. Everywhere.
Yeah,
everybody everywhere. We welcome everyone.
That's cool, man. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see. Anything else? Tiger Tom says, I think it'll be a low-scoring affair, not to mention a contest to determine which team has the most anemic offense. Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, that's kind of been. I mean, if any, the last game Clemson played was any indication, they are perfectly fine with playing that type of game. So
yeah, the battle of the struggle bus.
Yeah. Good Lord. Yeah, no, that's.
Man. Yeah, honestly, that's kind of how I see the game playing out. Is field position, ground and pound, kicking field goals. Gonna look like an NFL game.
Yeah, but not in a good way.
Not in a good way. Yeah,
these aren't it's just really big, fast, and strong. NFL players going against big, fast, and strong NFL players. This is just two offenses that don't know what they're doing.
This is 2 offenses that are somewhat clueless, and 2 defenses that can really limit the run. Oh man, I'm looking forward to the day when everything doesn't look like the biggest struggle in the world for Clemson on offense. Yeah. It's been what, 3 years now?
Yeah.
Hopefully we turn the corner at some point.
Yeah. It's clearly going to be a process. Tiggs also says, y'all show is one of the best 2 for Clemson news. You and Morgan Thomas. Wow, putting us. That's pretty.
We're in good company if we're in the conversation with Morgan T, man. Morgan Thomas is that dude, man.
Yeah, he is. I think one day we'll get up to his level of his production quality, but until then,
I know.
I appreciate it. I can't put myself. I can't put us up there, but
no.
We appreciate the compliment.
Tig said.
Oh, what did he say?
He said, "Off the Roy bus and onto the struggle bus."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. That's really what's happened to Clemson football over the last 3 years. Off the Roy bus onto the struggle bus. That's how it goes. Big John says, I got some fresh plugs for the Roy Bus Tigers by Fitty. Hey, I like that attitude.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about, Big John. That's the spirit we need in here. Tigers by Fitty. I like it. Let's do it. Hopefully.
Oh man, but it's going to be. I'm excited. It's, I'm just, as frustrating as this team has been to watch, throughout this season. It's, I keep coming back for more, and I
Hey,
miss
man.
I miss watching them. It's been a long,
Look,
how many, what, 4 weeks?
a month basically since we saw Clemson. That's why I say, like, as hard as it is to watch this Clemson offense sometimes, let's enjoy one last game while it lasts, because we're about to go through an 8-month long desert of no football games being played. Um, college football games being played, and those are the only ones that I care about, really. So enjoy it while it lasts. It's tough and frustrating and infuriating as a fan sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're all here because we love college football, and we have to savor these moments, because we only get 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks of it a year. So enjoy it while it lasts, because then me and Jordan got to make up stuff to talk to you guys about for the rest of the 8 months.
Yeah. I got used to having games to talk about, so
I know now we got to do one. Yeah, now it requires a little bit more research and preparation to keep the shows interesting.
Okay, NC State trying to make a little bit of it's 21-19 Kansas State. 2:54 left. They're on NC State's 37. That's going to be, that's interesting. We'll see if NC State. I'm not a Donut Dave fan, so it's not going to hurt me at all to see them lose this game. But
yeah, I don't care. I hope Donut Dave gets his.
He has been struggling in bowl season. They kind of, if you're one that cares about that sort of thing, the ACC does need a win. I mean, BC beat SMU, but technically that's a conference game now.
That's so sad. There's a conference game now.
Yeah,
oh my god, that's embarrassing. Look, I'm not an ACC guy. I'm not a type to worry about a conference or anything like that. Honestly, I could care less what the rest of the ACC does. I know it somewhat helps Clemson as far as strength of schedule and stuff like that. And I do care about it, I guess, to an extent from that standpoint. But honestly, the opinions of the national media and clearly the College Football Playoff Committee are already made up about the ACC. So
yeah,
North Carolina State losing to Kansas State isn't going to make the ACC look any worse, according to those people. So who cares at this point?
Yeah.
They already think the ACC is a second-tier conference, so it really don't matter at this point. There's no use in trying to rep ACC pride. I've never been that, I've never really been into that, and I'm not going to start now because it's pointless. So
it's fun, and because even when the ACC is good, they still don't. They're not.
Yeah, they don't. It doesn't change anybody's opinion about them.
I remember people still back in 2016 when the ACC was, they went 10-3 against the SEC. They had the best non-conference record. They had the national champion, obviously Clemson. They had the Heisman winner. They had the Orange Bowl champion. They had most teams with winning records. They had the most bowl. They had the most teams with bowl appearances. They had the best bowl record. All these stats you could list off, and still people were treated the ACC like it was a. So even when the ACC does have a good year, they don't get the credit. So caring about that sort of thing is always. I've always been like, well, there's not really much of a point.
I mean, it's just
the hard take is here. We just talked
about you, man. Look at that. Now Europe, we got Japan, we got Europe in the chat. Look at that.
Man, we are real. We're the pit bull of Clemson. Clemson football shows, Mr. Worldwide. That's what
Mr. Worldwide. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, for sure.
He asked, where is Tyler Brown? He's there. He's there.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's expecting to play. So we'll see. I saw him. I know I saw him in a boot a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah, so I did. Jason Priester over on what's it, the all in Clemson? What is it? All Clemson.
all Clemson. Yeah,
All Clemson. Yeah, the YouTube channel over there. So they did a live at like 6 before we came on. I popped on there and asked about Tyler Brown because I was curious, and they said he's been all go at practice. So I don't think he's limited in any way, according to them. So
he should be good. Yeah.
They've seen him in practice. They said he's not wearing any different color jersey. He's not limited in any way. So should be a full go.
Yep. Which is good because, you don't have him. And if you take him, along with not having Bo Collins, now you're just like, okay, Antonio Williams, Troy Stellato, Adam Randall. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You gonna throw Tink Kelly out there? I don't know. Ronan Hannafin, Noble Johnson.
Tink Kelly might have to go play corner if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I know. That would be something. That's not a shot at Tink, but
no, not at all. He just hasn't. He hasn't repped a cornerback. He's been a wide receiver all year, and he hasn't been on the field.
Outside of special teams, so
right.
Let's see. What are we talking about? Oh, Tig says, and y'all are streaming in Germany as well.
Dang, bro.
My buddy just in Germany just sent me a message from Germany. He is watching y'all. That's cool. Well, shout out to Tig's friend. That's, man, like I said, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Start saying that, Mr. Worldwide. Cedric says, just run the ball. Run the ball. I mean, hey, I like that game plan. I like that game plan. Run the football. That's when this team runs the football, good things happen for the most part. So give it to Mappa, give it to Shipley, let them work. Hope they don't fumble. It's kind of the way to go now.
That's it.
Any more Sweeney kids playing? I mean, Clay is on the team, so I don't know if I've seen him. I think he's been on the field once or twice, but he hasn't. I mean, he's not. I don't expect him to play any significant snaps in this game.
He's going to hold the field goals. That's it.
Big John says, I got a message from Marvin the Martian. We've got you loud and clear. Wow, man. We're Mr. Universe now.
Hey, look at we ain't even we were global. Now we're galactic, bro.
Yeah, I know.
We're in outer space, man. We breaking all kind of records out here today.
That's cool, man. We just confirmed the existence of aliens too in the same breath.
Bro, I didn't even know we were openly talking about that on the internet. But I mean, hey, they're tuned into the All In show. Then we must be doing something right.
I know. Shout out to our strangers out in Saturn. Man, and we confirmed the existence of aliens and Looney Tune characters at the same time. That's
all at the same time.
All at the same time, all at once. That's really cool. We're taking off, man. Literally.
Who knew?
Taking off.
Who knew those cartoons were based off of real life events this whole time?
The hard. I'm not going to put that one on the screen, but that's funny. Oh man, yeah, we're not doing that. He does say coming with a worldwide exclusive. In Europe, we've been having to try to watch the games on YouTube before they get cut off. Oh man, yeah, that's brutal. I can only imagine, getting up at, the time difference and doing all that. Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun.
Oh man, that sucks. Gotta hate that.
Tig says any stat predictions. I guess individual stats. Let's go with Cade Klubnik. What do you think his stat line looks like?
Let's say a good stat line for Cade in this game. Maybe
whatever stat line you're feeling. It could be terrible. It could be good. It could be anything in between. I don't know.
Let's go 10 for 15 for $130.
If what's funny is if you tell me that Cade only throws 15 passes in this game, I think we won the game.
I hope he only throws 15 passes in this game, or less. I would be fine with less.
That's the weird thing. If
he could go 8 of 12, or whatever. Like, I'm cool with whatever. I think it should be majority running the ball. Obviously, you got to take shots to keep a defense honest and mix it up somewhat. But I think right around 15 passes would be right for this game. I don't think
15 passes. I'd be naive to think he's only throwing 15 passes. We've never,
yeah, probably not. But
I mean,
like one could hope, right? One could hope.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's going to be a ton of plays run in this game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think the game's going to be shortened.
That could be the case.
K passes for 190 plus. Jeez.
On how many attempts? Because if you tell me he throws for 190, but he throws the ball 35 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel I don't feel very good about that. Like, Cade threw it 55 times against Tennessee or something like that.
That better never happen again.
Yeah, it's like Cade threw for 300 yards, but he threw it 55 times because we were down, and So I'm gonna go. I'm kind of feeling. I'm feeling 15 for 27. I'm 15 for 27, 180, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
Yeah, I definitely think he throws a pick in this game.
That feels like a Cade Klubnik stat line.
Yeah,
this year. But I just hope they hit. If they can hit on 1 or 2 big passing plays, I would be like, I think that would exceed my expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that optimistic about having a big game through the air, even though Kentucky's pass not very good.
Yeah, even though their passing defense is not good at all, I would not bank on a big passing day. I wouldn't mind. If we're successful passing the ball, sure. I'll take it any way we can get it, but that's not who this team's been all year. Why would they start now? We've played defenses this season where the passing was there and we didn't execute it. So
nope.
I don't know why we would in this game. But I think the big uglies up front and the running backs are going to have to get it done. So 200 plus yards rushing is what we need in this game. I think
that would be nice. That's going to be tough to get against this Kentucky defense, but if you tell me if Clemson runs for 200 yards, I feel pretty confident in Clemson winning that game. Hard Take says he gives his score prediction. He's feeling Clemson 24, Kentucky 14. Okay, I can see
Okay,
that.
10 points.
I like that. I would take that. Yeah, I would take that all day, every day. At this point. Big John running 89 plays for 14. Man, yeah. If Clemson is running 89 plays, it's going to feel like that. It's going to be it's like the good version of the Tennessee game where Clemson runs a bunch of plays, but they're not. But it's because they're methodically moving the ball down the field, and they are Kentucky. Not Kentucky. Tennessee is Kentucky's not getting off the field, and you're not hitting explosive plays, but you're going on these methodical drives, running a lot of plays, and eating up the time of possession.
Yeah,
if that happens, that'd be cool.
I'll take that stat line. Shipley, 18 carries, 130 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Sign me up.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a, especially if this ends up being his last game. That would be a hell of a
what a way to go out.
Shipley is he's gotten a lot of heat this year from the fan base. So it would be really cool to see him go out with a bang. I'm always, I think there are a lot of things that Will Shipley is limited at as a running back, but I don't think you can question. He's done a lot of good things. He's done a lot of good things here, and a lot of good things for this program when they needed him, especially.
He's had a great career at Clemson. He's been very good. He's been very good.
Absolutely.
It's just that the offense has not been nearly as dynamic as an offense that maybe like a Travis Etienne or something like that played in, right? Not comparing him to Etienne or Etienne's numbers at all, but just
no.
He's had a good career, and we'll see what he does. He may be back next year, or he may be off to the NFL. He did graduate, ran down the hill for senior day. So he doesn't have, unless he just wants to come back to Clemson, he doesn't really have any, anything other than wanting to play another season or improve his draft stock. There's no other reason to come back. He's already graduated, and all of that stuff. So we'll see what he decides to do. Yeah. I'd be happy for him to come back. But I wouldn't be surprised if he decides to, try his luck at the NFL. He has talked about, there being a limited shelf life for running back. So, that's in his mind. That's obviously going to factor in as a part of his decision. So we'll see.
Yeah. And, I'm sure, he's definitely waiting on seeing what kind of grade he gets from NFL draft scouts and stuff like that.
And they should already have those. They should already have those back by now, right? The NFL grades.
Well, it depends because it's not uniform. It's because you get those on like a team by team sort of basis. Well, not team by team, but it's not always like uniform like when they send them out, but.
Okay.
You kind of get you have to. I think you have to kind of request it, and then you get feedback from scouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I know Mickens.
I'm sure he's. Yeah, Mickens got his.
He talked about his.
He said he was in day 3.
Yeah, day 3. Yeah. So glad he's coming back.
I mean, I don't think there's. I don't think there's much room for him to improve. I'm happy he's coming back, but I don't. I think to be drafted in those earlier rounds, you kind of have to have the high end potential. RJ Mickens is a really, really good football player, but he's not like a top end. The potential as a from an athletic standpoint, all of that. I don't think he's that type of player. But that, and it's kind of how I feel about Will Shipley. I don't expect him to go if he were to enter the draft, I don't think he's going, first, second, third. I mean, I think he's probably a mid to late round pick, just because he's not the top, the athletic, the top end athleticism potential is just not there. He's does a lot of things well, but you kind of have to have a different level of athleticism to be considered, and especially at a position like running back, which isn't all that valued to begin with in the NFL draft. So
you think he'd be like a 5th round pick?
Oh, say that again.
You think he'd be like a 5th round pick if he came out this year?
I could see, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah. He's just got to, he doesn't have that, he doesn't have the top end, speed and stuff like that they would look for. So, but I think there are a lot of, but there's room for guys like him, and he's a really good, he's a hard worker, and he does a lot of things well. He's a versatile back. It's just to be considered at that high level, that higher echelon of running backs, you kind of have to have different level of athleticism. So
that and being an every down back is important. Pass protection, something that he's still not great at, right? So
he's better at it. He's gotten better at it, but
he is improved, but he's still not. That's not one of his strong suits still.
Right.
But he can do a lot of different things. So maybe he ends up being a kind of change of pace type back in the league. I don't know. I think he definitely gets a shot. We'll see where he goes.
Oh, yeah, he'll get a shot.
And how successful it is. That really depends on what team you go to, what the depth chart looks like there. I mean, there's so many, things that go into, how successful you'll be outside of just your raw talent.
Absolutely. All right. We hit the 2 hour mark before I even realized it.
2 hours. All right. Well,
it is a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. So thank all of you for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. We've got 24 of you in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, chatting with us, getting all your comments in, joking around with us. We always have a good time when we come on here. All your guys' support is much appreciated. Your super chats are appreciated. Shout out to those who sent in super chats today. Big John sent in one. Alexander sent in another one. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel in that way. The rest of you, thank you for supporting the channel by just being here, hitting that like button, and communicating with us in the chat. You won't have to wait too long before you see us again. We'll be right back here probably around 3:30-ish tomorrow. Basically, 10 or so minutes after the game ends, me and Jordan will be live right here on the Voice of College Football Clemson channel to break down everything that we are going to see in the Clemson versus Kentucky matchup in the Gator Bowl. So, Jordan, go ahead and send the people off.
Yeah. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. It's a bittersweet because this is the last pregame show that we will do this season. We had a lot of fun doing these, and this is the last one for this year. So, it was a lot of fun, and excited to do our final post-game show, tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in. As always, go Tigers.
That's right. Go Tigers. Till next time, Tiger Paul Craven, Jordan Bowman,